Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 105 of FPL BlackBox ahead of Gameweek 37. No Mark this week, no Luke this week, but we've got a good guest. It's my mum's favourite. It's Mr. Gianni Batici. How are you, Gianni?
Well, as long as I'm your mum's favourite, I'm happy about that. It's nice to be someone's favourite. And yeah, I'm disappointed there's no Mark and there's no Luke as well, mate. So I know there'll be a few out there, quite a few out there that will be. But nice to be chatting with you, mate. I'm delighted to be back on a stream with you because it seems like it's been ages.
It has been ages. I mean, we were doing quite a few streams together, weren't we? I mean, most notably the your team selection, which you now sort of half run on your own and half run with Seb. I do my own one over on Scout as well. And yeah, it's been ages since we used to chat every week. And
Yeah, we did a few Friday streams, didn't we? The Q&A stuff, and then obviously some black box stuff. So yeah. And I used to see you all the time in person when we did FPL show and stuff like that.
I know. Now you're off doing your own channel, and I've moved out of Scout. And yeah, I was working until 5 minutes before this stream. So if there are any errors or problems, then that is probably why. But we can always blame Mark, just in case. Yeah, we've got quite a bit to talk about. Obviously, only 2 weeks left to go of the season. Are there any key differentials or players that we can get in for those final charges up the rank? Spoilers: Gianni's had a good week. Mark's had a good week. Luke's having a good week. I'm not having a good week, so trying to get ready, for the final 2 game weeks. It's just a bit of pain, and I've done something which I would advise everyone not to do, which is I've gone through and worked out some decisions that I've made over the last few weeks, and it is brutal, absolutely brutal. So we'll talk a bit about those.
I can't believe you've done that, Az. That is the worst form of torture. Never go back and see what points or rank you would be at if you had made different 50-50 calls. I can't wait to see yours later in the show.
Well, content creators, we get slated on Twitter for not owning up to our mistakes. So yeah, I'd be interested to know which ones you think out of my list are just stupid decisions and which ones were just bad variance calls. And all that. It's quite a lot of pain. But yeah, we'll come to that just in a bit. Before we get into the FPL content, a word from our lovely sponsors, NordVPN. If you are not familiar with NordVPN, where have you been? They're one of our biggest sponsors this season. They're all about cybersecurity, so important. I've switched over I was using AVG before, I now use Nord. Really, really good. Really impressed with the speed of it, which I've used other VPNs before and not been too impressed. It's slowed down and caused issues. Not had any of that. It's running now. No issues. So, if the stream goes down, then, then it probably won't be so good. Beauty of Nord, though, is it hides your IP address and your location, which massively increases your privacy online, particularly if you're using public Wi-Fi as well. You can connect to other countries. You can get their programs. You can watch the football. You can connect to other Netflixes, for example, Japanese anime stuff. If you're into that, or as Mark always talks about, his Columbo. And you can also secure all your devices with it as well, your PC, your laptop, your phone, or set up on the router to protect everything in your household. It's got 24/7 support and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you use our code SCOUT, that's nordvpn.com/SCOUT, you get the NordVPN plan at discount and 4 extra months free. What could be better, Jenny, than that?
It sounds like a very good deal, mate. I honestly, I've heard loads about NordVPN as it's very good, but also because it's supported BlackBox for so long and obviously hear it every show. But for someone that's such a technophobe like me and like way behind with doing stuff, I'm like, I know when I do move towards a VPN, which I think will probably be in the next 6 to 12 months because I'm so far behind, I know it'll be Nord because it's the favorite now because I know about it, but also great reviews.
I miss our streams where we would, have these issues when you tried to host. I mean, I can't believe you host your own stream now. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I say host. Everything is set up for me. I click a button.
Even that, mate.
Yeah,
you come a long way. Anyway, that's enough of Nord. But yeah, do check them out if you're in the market for any internet security. They're pretty much the best in the business. So give them a go. And yeah, let us know what you think. Right, we're going to get Mark's game week out of the way. First, he's on 90 points,
Ooh.
Gianni. Not only that, he's got 8 points coming off the bench. Shaw.
Oh, he's got Luke Shaw coming in. Many got a Stupinan and Shaw off the bench because of Rashford. I got Grealish with a point.
I got Porro with a point. who got 12 points on my bench last week. Anyway, I come to my team. I'm going to try and not be a little bitch this stream, but I can't promise anything. Mark had stealing goal, who has now cemented that place at the end of the season because Sanchez has thrown his toys out the pram. Botman, Estepinian, Trent and Trippier. That double Brighton defence has done really, really well.
Well played
for him. Fair play. He's gone about Matoma, and Matoma hasn't really been delivering massive hauls. So yeah, he's done really well there. He's got Fernandes in place, who's chipping away with the assists. McAllister's done well for him. Salah, he's got Shaw ready to come in. He brought in Callum Wilson and captained him. Fair play. He was the guy that if you were chasing, you were hoping for a big haul. You've got points from him. Mark's got points from his captain. Excellent stuff. And he's got Haaland. So Mark is really, really well set up for the last couple of weeks. He's 20 points behind me now. He's caught up 35 points this week.
That's huge, that.
And obviously he's still got Wilson to play. And his messages to me are a lot happier.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And he also, the guy that could hurt Mark versus you is as always, it's whoever you've captained. But he owns your captain, McAllister, and you don't own his captain, Wilson. So again, he's set up very well, even with Thursday's fixtures in mind.
Yeah. Thanks, Gianni.
Look, the silver cloud there, is it silver lining there is every cloud has a silver line. Is Callum Wilson today hasn't been pictured in any of the Newcastle training photos, but there was 25. I've just been through all of them. And yeah, pretty much all the names you would expect to be pictured are pictured. Let's just hope it's an extra recovery day or he's fine. But definitely squeaky bum time ahead of those team sheets on Thursday for Wilson owners.
I won't be very sympathetic, I'm afraid, to Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, the two most ridiculous things were him getting that penalty just before he comes off. And then Watkins, who I kept, not getting the most blatant penalty I've ever seen in football in my life. So yeah, it was a big swing. Okay, can someone start like an as bitching count because it's going to happen quite a bit. But yeah, fair play to Mark, 90 points, absolutely massive. Luke as well. I've got his points on the screen. He doesn't look that impressive, 54, but he's got Raya coming in for Kepa with 7.
Oh, nice.
And he's got Estepinian coming in for Rashford. That's 24 points he's got.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So that takes him up to 88. Kepa, Trent, Trippier, Share, Salah, Rashford, Matoma, McAllister, Haaland, Watkins, and he went for the popular Isak captain. And he's still moaning. He still sent me messages moaning, oh, I could have had Wilson. Oh, I could have got played Shaw. 88 points.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Big score that.
You're on 87. Oh, God, this is so...
Yeah, your maths are off, though. It's not 88.
Isn't it?
Hang on. You say 24 points. 78, isn't it?
For Luke?
Yeah.
No, he's got 24 points. Yeah, sorry, 78 points. It's been a long day. 78 points. Which is less than you. You're on 87. De Gea, Botman, Estepinian, Trippier, Trent, McAllister, Matoma, Salah, Rashford, Wilson, Haaland, and you've got Grealish coming on. We have got the same team bar 2 players. I've got Isak and you've got Wilson, and I've got Dunk, and you've got Estepinian, and you've beaten me by like 30 points this week. Good.
2 players should not do that much damage, should they? 2 players, especially when it's like same defender from the same club, and then like Wilson, Watkins, Mayer's the extra fixture, but you don't expect there to be a big swing there either.
Thank you to everyone in the chat for saying 78. That's the number of the week. Yeah, I mean at least I gave Luke too many points and he's had to come crashing down. No, that's the main thing. My game week, I'm on 63. It's not good. De Gea, Trent, Trippier, Dunk, who's done all right, but just not got 17 points away at the bloody second in the league team. It was watching that game was such a mixed bag because obviously I was so happy with how Brighton were playing. It's the best performance I've ever seen us play, and I'm desperate for us to get Europa League. Because I want to take my dad to some of the, the European like nights on like a Thursday night. But why couldn't it have just been my players that did the damage? 17 points for Estepinian. I thought he was going to get taken off at half time at one point.
Yeah, the yellow card. As soon as you have the yellow card, you're marking Saka. Like playing Saka on a yellow card.
He wasn't playing well. For the first 30 minutes, he was not playing well. Saka looked like he had his number, and he was getting a bit rash with things. And if we'd had an option on the bench to bring on for him, I think we might have done it. But yeah, fair play, assist, goal, clean sheet, absolute stuff of legends really. And for him, Salah Rashford, I went for McAllister captain. He was playing deep in that game. That's fine. I kind of expected him to. He still gets full. He's still getting into some good positions, but just not dominating in that 10 position like we've seen him do before.
Yeah.
Matoma, Haaland, Watkins, and Isak. So just not. It's just those two players. Like I say, if you had Estepinian, you'd had a good week. If you had Estepinian and Wilson, you had a great week. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do beware, guys, those that are looking at overall rank with so many benches in play, just know that there will be loads of bench points for a lot of managers. So if, for example, you don't have bench points, but some of your mini league rivals have, just check that out because so many have Estepinian coming off their bench, which is depressing. So I think I'll lose 10k in rank after subs.
Yeah, I think I'm losing about 15k. It's about 10% of your rank will probably be lost if you haven't got a decent bench. So that's something to look forward to. That's nice. Checking in with the great and the good. You can see here the majority of people went for Isak as their captain this week.
My lord, yeah, they did.
A lot of Isaks. I thought there'd be more Wilsons, to be fair.
This is why I need to be in there, mate, because I'll have a different captaincy option each week.
Hey, you have to beg Greyhead like Andy North is doing, and I think Andy's going to be in next week because he's beating Greyhead, and that was the bet they had. Maybe you could have that bet with Greyhead next year.
Yeah, I feel like I may have opted out of this league a year ago. I think, or a year or two. I've opted out of something with Greyhead, I think, and maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah, it was probably this. I think Late Riser did that as well this year. Anyway, you'd be just ahead of me. Just behind FPL Matthew, it'd be me, you, and Mark all in a line.
Wow,
look
standards
at that.
low.
Mark is so close to me now. It's actually quite scary. He'd be 20 points behind me going into this with his bench points going into this game. So I nearly said good luck to him. There's no good luck to him at all. I don't want him to beat me. It'd be absolutely awful. Fabio and Praz went for Trippier. That was an interesting one. That was something Luke and I discussed last week. That hasn't obviously gone well so far, but yeah, fair play to them for doing something different. But yeah, majority Isaks.
I'm surprised there's not another Brighton midfield punt in there. I'm surprised there's not a Matoma.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's why I went for McAllister. I thought there isn't a huge amount in it between some of these captains. If Wilson had been confirmed to start, I'd have got it.
I'm so glad there wasn't. I tweeted.
Yeah.
I was quite vocal about the leaks and how I don't like them for FPL. I'm so glad there was no leaks because so many would have, and that's not fair.
I agree. I'm not going to sit here and say that I wish there was a leak. I mean, I wish there was a leak for my own points because I would have done it, but it has made me realise that it is better without them because I think people who took the risk and got rewarded for it, fair play. I wasn't willing to do that. I thought Watkins was a good option. And part of the reason,
mate, you didn't was because you knew there was a good chance you'd get the league, and we've become conditioned now as FPL managers to ruin our Saturday mornings and to be hanging on that. I genuinely, I had Cam, my wife, outside with Gaia in a buggy, ready to go on a dog walk, and both dogs at the door waiting at 10:30, and I said, I've got to wait till 11. I've got to wait. And genuinely, Gaia needed to sleep. She was walking around the block waiting for me, and I was like, what am I doing here? Yeah,
I know. We talk about it. We talked about it last year. I mean, it's a tricky one. I mean, their options are they either push the deadline right back to 24 hours before, which they won't ever do because it just seems a bit too extreme to do that. But I mean, in a kind of perfect world, maybe that would be the better thing to do because that would eliminate all the leaks completely. But I just think they should bring it up to the deadline.
Yeah,
I think just give everyone the chance to see that first team sheet. And I know that isn't, that still won't please everyone because there's going to be people at work and people that can't do it, but it creates a level playing field at least for more people because I don't think it's fair that a really subsection of the community get access to that.
I agree with that. I think up to the deadline, the beauty of that also is you won't get managers missing the deadline as much because every week there are a section that miss the deadline. Yet if you're watching the build up to the game, you go, my FPL team, let's say you're a more casual manager, you'll keep more engaged managers for longer if you take it right up to the deadline.
Yep, absolutely.
To the first kickoff, yeah.
But I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll probably keep it as it is. I don't even think it's that much better. I mean, it's maybe a little bit better than it was last year, but I don't think it's made a huge amount of difference. But yeah, we'll see what they do. Before we get on to some actual decent content, let me just go through my little table. Again, I would just really, really urge people not to do this. Don't go back and look at your mistakes and try and work out what if like I'm about to do. Because this hasn't made me feel better at all. This is what I've worked out, right? And I'm not going to spend too long on this, but I just want to just paint the picture of how bad it's been for me since Gameweek 31. So I wildcarded in 31 up till now. These were the decisions going through that for me were 50-50 decisions, or at least decisions that I had some choice or thinking about what I was going to do. So I went for March over McAllister, that's cost me 14 points. I went for Dunk over Estepinian, that's cost me 17 points so far. I'd made that last minute move of March over Watkins, that's cost me 9. And I had Dunk second sub over Moreno, that cost me 8. I took Ake out and he got 15 points and played Trippier.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's 13. I played Isak over Bowen. I played Bowen over Isak on the free hit. That was 8. I played Moreno over Porro the other week. That cost me 10. And then I didn't do the Watkins to Wilson transfer because of March's injury and because I'd already wasted a transfer a few weeks ago getting Jota in, which was a complete disaster. And that cost me 9 points. So that's 88 points if I got those, if it had been the other flip way around. That'd give me 2,431 points and I'd be 18k. And instead I'm 186. So
okay, yeah, I'm just putting my violin emoji in the chat.
Yeah, Jerry Menelo says cry more. Yeah, I mean it's I agree. I don't like people moaning about stuff. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm doing this for two reasons. One is just to show that it happens, and it's pretty brutal when it does. And secondly, just because I think it's good to show that the bad decisions with the good. I mean, I celebrated Goalkeepers' goals last year like it was the greatest thing ever. This year, I've just not made good decisions, and I'm 200k, and it's been the most difficult season I've ever played FPL in.
Wow, really? Yeah.
Brutal.
Not mine, but
it's just that you look at this list. I just think a lot of these calls weren't bad calls, but these are all like nearly double digit or over decisions gone wrong. So. Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't be an FPL manager. Each and every one of the 431 in the chat right now, every week will claim certain elements of, damn, I'm unlucky there, right? We all do it all the time. But this collection is quite the collection. And I love the term. You've not used as is bad transfers or as is 50-50 moves. As is hideous. And you're bang on. It has been an hideous assortment of moves. But fine margins. And I think that's what's really interesting when you look at the rank. This game is about fine margins, and luck is so important. Now, sure, there's a skill element to picking these players, but there's also a huge luck element with things like bench points, when if you have a player injured, then you get a Stupinanza 17 off the bench or whatever. So it just goes to show the difference between a rank of 186 and 18k is actually only 8 bad average moves. There's a lot of them are coin toss moves, Well,
I think the other thing to point out is I remember at the start of the season, Mark said that he'd basically given up after like game week 8 because he was like, there just isn't going to be any potential for us to move anywhere, and the
template was so strong early, wasn't it?
And the template are strong, but like a lot of these decisions, I've had the right players in or been considering the right ones, but just not quite done it. There's always potential. I mean, this is over 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And this would be an absolutely meteoric rise of 100 points in 7 weeks. So it's always possible. And the last 2 weeks can be really interesting because I think people are going to make some some decisions which maybe go against what the logic and algorithm says that we should do. And I think there could be some big rewards. So that's what we're going to talk about now. We're going to see if we can uncover any gems for these final 2 weeks. But yeah, don't make the table like this. It is not worth it. But yeah, thought I'd share.
I was so close to doing it. My biggest clanger was I went Havertz instead of Watkins just before Watkins went on that run. And the world and their dog owned Watkins, and I think it was about 35 to 40 points. And at the time, I remember thinking, I'm not going to look and see what that does to my rank, but I remember it being big. But yeah, we all have them. It's horrible. It is. And I've still mentioned in the chat, Simon, not a good year for non-template managers. Perhaps you're right there, Simon.
Absolutely. I don't think it has been as well. And I think, I don't think it's any coincidence that Mark has been doing well now that he's switched off from things quite a lot more and not overthinking things. Because he's so busy at work and with his family, he's been logging in, last minute making his transfers based on what other people are doing or what seems logical, and not coming on BlackBox and chatting things through. And he's gone from like 600-700k up to 280k, I think he is now. So that's really been working well for him. It's just been one of those seasons. It'll be interesting to see if next year continues that trend, or if it's a bit different. Anyway, you can all put your little violins away for me. Now I will be okay. I will continue to carry on. This is what we've got left. 2 weeks left. Can't quite believe it. Bring on the end. 37 is next. 4 double game week teams: Brighton, Chelsea, Man City, and Manchester United. It's a lovely 4 teams with doubles. 3 of the top teams in the league, and Chelsea are there as well. And then in 38 as well, we've got some good looking home games. For Arsenal, a lot of people have sold their players. Brentford against City at home is interesting now that Tony has been banned. Might we see like Mbomo kind of come in? Are City going to be taking it seriously? They probably would have wrapped up the league by then. Palace against Forest. Eze, for example, might be someone that we look to get in. And then you've got that United home game against Fulham, which is, getting our 3 United players right this week, I think is going to be really key, because it's a good double and then a good week in 38. Before we get into all the stats, Gianni, are there any players or any teams that you're targeting for these last 2 weeks?
There's none that are non-double game week players in 37, which is a real shame. I just look at the short-term reward of a double game week in 37, and most of those on a double in 37 have a good, well, they all have a, we're not really looking at Chelsea, but Brighton, City and United all have a good enough fixture in 38 as well. So you've got that collection of those 3 games, and you compare it to anyone on a single 37, single 38, and it's just not as good. So at the moment, my shopping list is pretty much limited to Man United and Man City assets. I do think there's going to be some wins, of course, on those on a single game week. And if you chase in, maybe you look at maybe some of your Liverpool assets, for example. You maybe take a punt on a Spurs, a Son, or someone like that. But at the moment, for me, I'm just looking at City and United, really.
Yeah, I think it's easy to do. I mean, one player that we will be mentioning is Trossard, because we've got Martinelli now out for the last 2 weeks. He looks like quite an interesting punt, I think, considering he's going to be playing on the left. But like you say, if you're bringing him in this week, you're probably doing that at the sake of other, double game week players you could be looking at. I mean, even if you've got loaded up with Newcastle, if you've got a Trippier and an Isak, or even a Trippier, Isak and Wilson, they've got arguably the best home game in the league at the moment against Leicester, who just look completely and utterly beaten. So trying to find a place for a differential when you've got these teams with good fixtures this week looks tricky. So maybe it's a case of saving it till 38. But yeah, we will try and do our best to reveal some. The team data attack is on the screen over the last 6. Brighton remain at the top. I mean, we've got to talk about the performance against Arsenal.
Yeah, we do.
Because, I mean, come on. I mean, that was something else. I mean, 75-80% possession at the Emirates. Some of the best attacking play I've seen. Just so good. So good.
I've not been to many games this season, but I've seen Brighton twice live. I saw them away at Leicester and I saw them away at the weekend at Arsenal. And that's the best live football I've seen this season. Like, they are so impressive all over the park. Like, from Steele with his feet in goal to how comfortable the centre-back partnership. It doesn't matter if it's Webster or Cole that plays there. That's so comfortable. Estupinan left back was having a bit of a shaky game, but then attacking always impressive. Caicedo played right back. I mean, Caicedo is like incredible. If Brighton can keep him another year, they'll do amazingly well. And then all over the park, like the midfield clearly great, the wide men good. Enciso didn't have his best game, but I still look at Enciso as and go, you are a star in the making. Like, he's the next big thing out of that club, I think, in terms of like player where all the big clubs are going to be sniffing around Enciso in a year or two.
I just can't believe what De Zerbi's done to every player in the side, apart from Sanchez. I mean, Steele has come in, who I didn't rate particularly as a goalkeeper. I've watched him cup games, didn't think he had that confidence about him. He's so calm. He's chewing gum, he's spreading passes around, he's claiming things. Absolutely brilliant. Caicedo at right back, who would have thought he could play? Yeah, he could play there. I mean, Billy Gilmore, I thought his career was done. He was absolutely
Gilmore
brilliant.
played so well.
Absolutely brilliant in that game. Undav, coming off the bench, scoring
Even Undav.
another chipped goal. It's like every single player is improved under De Zerbi. He's got big decisions right. Getting rid of Trossard, I think, was the right call. Getting rid of and dropping Sanchez, absolutely brilliant. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what we can do.
Even Danny Welbeck has.
Brilliant.
He's played really well under De Zerbi, really well.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I mean, someone asked who the flop of the season's been, and it is Sanchez, I think, but there isn't anyone else. There is no one else in that team who's been a flop. Incredible.
I'll tell you who was really good. I know he didn't get the goals or the assists, and he went off at about 70 minutes. And you know how good this guy is. But again, I can see why big clubs are already looking at even Ferguson, because he gave Gabriel in that first half a torrid time. All the 50-50s, just seeing how they were competing against each other. Gabriel's such an experienced, big physical centre-back. He's played against a ton of number 9s. I haven't seen too many get the better of him like Ferguson did. Like, he can go short and hold it up, but he's also really quick to run in behind. He's a great player.
I think he's the next big thing for us. You talk about Enciso as well. Both of those two, young, so much talent, ability. I mean, Ferguson he's so quick, so powerful. He can shoot. His link up play is really good. He's got all the attributes to go on and be one of the best forwards in the world. I think genuinely.
That's good.
Yep. United up in third. They are hitting the heights of this chart at a good time. Expected goal on per 90 of 2.10. So that's just below Newcastle and Brighton. We're seeing Fernandes being bought heavily. Rashford is now back in training. Anthony, we're going to be talking about. He's high in the old expected goal involvement charts. Might we see him potentially as an option? Have you got Fernandes?
I don't, and he's the player I most want this game week because he is absolutely due. Even more, I was going to say he's absolutely due even more now, having seen this data. Like the United attack is firing.
City, lowest I've seen them in this table, I think, for the last couple of seasons.
A surprise, that.
Yeah, down in 7th. Interesting to know what is going to happen with them. I mean, I think we're all kind of assuming they're going to wrap the league up against Chelsea in the first game of the double. That follows the Real Madrid game, but you would expect them to go full strength against Chelsea and just try and see that off. What does that then mean for the Brighton game? Does it increase the value of the Brighton players potentially? Because we've seen it before. I mean, Brighton beat City, I think, either beat or drew with them a few years ago when it was the game after City had won the league. We put in a really, really good performance, and I think we won that game. It's at home, it's at the Amex. We've got a chance, I think, if they have done it. Who do they play? Alvarez, people are mentioning. Do we take a punt on him? Mahrez as well, Foden. Are Grealish's days done, do you think? How many do you think he starts between now and the end of the season?
I mean, so if they win game 1 of the double, if they beat Chelsea, is that the title completely wrapped up? Yeah, so you want them, ideally we want them as, for FPL, we want them to draw against Chelsea. We want them to go into that Brighton game needing 3 points or a point because, the fear is it's full strength against Chelsea. There could be some minutes of some big name players missing out that second game. Shame, this would be great. Look, check out Luke's Twitter. He'll know way more than I will for Man City minutes, but there's a good chance there. The likes of Grealish and De Bruyne, maybe even if they start, then they're 60-minute men.
Even if they draw, I think it's. If they draw.
No, if they draw, Arsenal can.
Yeah, so City on 85, Arsenal on 81.
We've got the game in hand, City haven't they?
So they'd be on 86 if they drew. So Arsenal would need to win both their games and City would need to lose both, which is again I think pretty unlikely. But yeah, we'll see. I think we were hoping for it to kind of go down to the wire, weren't we? But I think it's going to be wrapped up.
Yeah, the midfielders, you worry about some of the rotation. Someone like Haaland, I still think will start both, because Haaland has been playing so many minutes he can, and there's records there, and I think Pep will want to keep him playing. Yep,
agreed. Right down the other end of this list is Chelsea. They have arguably the worst double ever. City and United, really, really tough. They are 16th on the list for expected goal non-penalty penalty over the last 6, 1.04. Sterling starting to hit a couple of goals, looking like a decent option, but I haven't seen a Chelsea player in anyone's teams, and I don't think we're going to. Do you?
I mean, I've got Chilwell and Kepa on my bench, but they're not getting anywhere near my 11.
Well, Chilwell's injured and Kepa doesn't play anymore, so
yeah. Although Mendy came in and had a terrible time, so maybe if you've got Kepa and you've got a single game week keeper with him and you want to chuck him in for the double, you might get you might get both games still. But yeah, swerve Chelsea, despite Sterling scoring 2 and playing his old club. He's still, 9.5 plus, I think, Sterling this season. So yeah, you're not even going to consider him.
No, I'd love to say he might be an option for us. But yeah, I don't think he is. Moving over to defence. Palace right at the top of this list over the last 6. That Roy Hodgson effect doing wonders. Liverpool second, which is interesting. So they've been struggling defensively, but they're a machine at the moment. If they were putting in these performances, from the start, they'd be, matching City and Arsenal. They'd be a 3-horse race, but they haven't been, and it's come a bit too late, I think, for them to challenge for that top 4. An interesting one though, because they've obviously got Villa this week, which isn't easy, and then it's Southampton, bottom team, on the last day. Salah to Fernandes is something that I'm seeing. It's something that I'm having to consider, because otherwise I'm going to struggle to be able to get him. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something you're looking at?
It's probably my only realistic route to Bruno. I own someone like a Grealish. I could go Grealish to Bruno, but I would then need a 4-point hit to take money out of a defender. And again, do I want to be selling Grealish ahead of a double? Maybe not. Although if I fear that second game, maybe that is my route. But I'll be selling Salah with a really heavy heart, because the form at Anfield is always really good, has been really good. Salah looks sharp. He could have had a 15, 20 pointer in the week against Leicester. Like, he missed a huge chance. He could have had even more assists. And then on the final day, that Southampton game, knowing they will need the 3 points, and it won't, they've got a slim chance. They're still underdogs to get top 4, but they'll be backing themselves. They'll be backing United or Newcastle to drop a point or 2 somewhere. I'm going to be so reluctant to sell Salah, mate. I really don't want to do it. If I do it, then there's a very good chance I reverse the move and I use 2 transfers. I go Bruno, say 37, and then it's Salah back in for that 38 fixture.
Yeah, and then it's a shame, because then you're not able to take a punt on a 38 a player. And, I know Palace are top of the defence here, but in attack, I like the look of Eze, for example. And taking a hit on the final day, it's so hard to hit that right and make it work. It can happen. I think we saw last year, it was Mane, wasn't it? Quite a few people took hits for him. Was that? Yeah, it was Mane. Yeah, on the last day.
My memory's terrible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think that's Mark. I think Mark maybe got into the top 100k or something by doing that. So yeah, we've seen that before, but yeah, really, really tricky to get right. I like Eze for that final week. City third on this list. Again, really tough. Edison owners finally getting some points.
And didn't they get They got bonus off a couple of saves.
Bonus.
Mental.
Could not believe it. Must have thought Christmas had come early. Those who owned Stones, not so happy. He didn't show up. Ake was out again. He just showed up to get 15 points when I sold him, and then just disappeared again, which is don't add that to the bitch counter. But City defence, tricky one again, isn't it? Because we just don't know what they're going to be doing with that defence. It's been
with 2 games, mate. 2 games on a Sunday. I've just looked at the Man City dates for their games, because we've got to remember that the season has been stretched. So at the end of the season, it's not like, say, when United won the treble and it was like, finished the Premier League, they had the Champions League, they had the FA Cup, and it was all really congested with the semi-finals in there. Man City's fixtures are quite well spread out. So it's like, they play tonight, and then it's Sunday, then it's Wednesday, then it's Sunday again, and that's the Premier League. Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. Man, they can probably manage that if someone like a Haaland had to start every game, and they felt like he did. But then it's a week to the FA Cup, then it's a week to the Champions League. So Pep talks loads about momentum. Someone like KDB that's had his knocks, maybe he wants him starting games. Maybe he's 60, 70 minutes, but he's starting games. So the fear there is, that game 2 against Brighton, do we see the defence rotated? The likes of Walker starting a game, Stones starting 1, Ake starts 1, Akanji starts 1. Maybe Diaz is only the one I'd back to sort of guarantee you 2 starts, but even that, it's no really banker.
Tricky. And you've got Lewis as well, who he's going to want to give starts to. Wouldn't be surprised to see him start the 2 games when they've already got the league wrapped up. So I think the City defence is probably in a void for me. I think we score against them as well in that second game of their double.
At the Amex too.
Yeah, and then away at Brentford's a tricky game. I know they haven't got Tony, but if they're making rotation and doing rotation and got that Champions League game in mind, that might be a game that Brentford look to show that they're not just the Tony show. Now he's been banned. So yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from City defence. Anyway, Brighton in 6th. Good defensive stats from us. Is it too late to buy a Brighton defender now? If you haven't got one, too late for rest opinion.
Yeah, you've missed the boat. I think.
Mm,
I think you've missed that boat.
yeah,
I'd prefer to back. I know they've just kept a clean sheet at Arsenal, but if I had space for a third Brighton asset, I would be going for an attacking player. Maybe a Ferguson. Like that could be load of fun. 4.5 million forward. That's
absolutely.
what 1% owned.
Absolutely. I think if you've still got that third Brighton spot, you can take a bit of punt on that and see so a Ferguson. Yeah, and try and get lucky. I like it. I mean, we've got this game against Southampton coming up, first game of the double. We could blow them away. We really could. They're already relegated. They've conceded so many goals this season. We have got a lot of games and things, but that could be a game which we see a big haul. So yeah, I think we're at home as well, aren't we? So
yeah, and when you rotate, like you rotated against Wolves not long ago at the Amex, and it was a 6-0 win. Like those that are waiting in the wings at Brighton are ready to come on and play.
Well, we've barely got anyone left now. March is injured, and Ciso took a knock, and I think there's 3 players on the bench that I hadn't even heard of. So yeah, I think their spots are pretty safe. But yeah, like you say, if they do bring in,
Buonanotte might come in. Yeah.
If they do bring in anyone else, though, then it looks like they can just slot seamlessly straight in. United are 7th. It's a good time to buy Shaw, isn't it?
Yeah, he's someone I'm looking at this week. I don't own Shaw. I own De Gea, and my plan was Shaw this week. Annoyingly, I can't get Shaw and Bruno. I was really hoping in a way, like bad for United, but I was hoping Rashford would miss out this game week.
Yeah.
Rashford was my route to Bruno, and then I could go Shaw as well. I can't now sell Grealish to Bruno and go Shaw, or even a Lindelof if I can't afford him or whatever. I've got to shop outside of that United defence if I buy Bruno. So yeah, I've got to make a choice of Bruno or Shaw. I probably can't have both. Unless I sell Rashford, which I'm not going to do.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll come on to that. Because like I said, we've got very similar teams. We've both got a bit of money in the bank. It sounds like we might be going in. I think I know what I'm going to do, but yeah, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on what you're doing. In 11th on the defence is Chelsea. I mean, there's no conspiracy here. There's no reason. Chelsea are in the bottom half of the table or near the bottom half of the table because they're terrible. Their stats are really bad. Yeah. They are a mid-table defence and they're a bottom side attack. It's really, really interesting what Poch is going to do next season when he comes in, who he gets rid of, the players he puts his arm around, whether he's going to look at the academy and try and raise them from there, which goes against the whole strategy of Todd Bowley of just buying anyone that he wants. What's going to happen with Colwill, who's arguably their best defender despite all of the purchases they've made, done so well for us this season. So yeah,
Poch apparently is a fan, and he said he doesn't want him on loan next season. So
there are players in that side playing for their future over the next 3 games.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to get any wins.
The good thing about Poch coming in early is, sure, he's not picking the team, but he's there. He's in and around the club. He might be having a word. He might be able to suggest that there's some players that need to get some game time so he can look at them. I like the fact Chelsea have done this business early at least, and he will have a full pre-season and he can already identify. He'll be told he's got 2 or 3 signings. Can't have many because they need to trim the squad, but he can already identify the players he might want to have back. What does he do with Lukaku? He's got a lot of talent out on loan still. So it's good that it's early, and I think we'll be a completely different team next year because the manager is, as Brighton fans will tell you, you went from Chris Hughton to Potter to De Zerbi, and it's like, yeah, you see completely different styles with the same core squad. It's all on the manager.
Yep, absolutely. Some other notable mentions on this list: Villa in 4th, just for all the Salah owners. Villa are really good defensively. I'm not expecting Liverpool to score 4 or 5 against them, so that might be a way of targeting one of these other double gaming players for that final push. Forest are right down the bottom. They are 20th, so those Arsenal players, if you've still got them or even thinking about buying them, it does still look like a good fixture for them. I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen to Arsenal now, though, do they? I mean, they've pretty much... they, like you say, it's not mathematically impossible yet, but they will all know that it's done and over at this point. How do you think they're going to...
I think it's just massively. I mean, there's an argument to say, look, they're going to be able to go and play without the stress and the freedom and the uncertainty over them, and they can go and we've seen teams in recent weeks. We've seen Fulham score 5 goals at home. We've seen Palace score loads of goals. players with not a huge amount to play for to just express themselves and go for it. But for me, I think at Arsenal, it's just probably completely hit them. And I think it'll be very difficult to put in huge performances now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of their heads drop. This is a squad and a team where they don't have a huge amount of experience or older players or leaders. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that Xhaka's going to be leaving. One of the few leaders and senior pros in that team. He, for me, is the captain of that club. I know Odegaard's officially the captain, but he's the leader amongst them. So I think it'll be really interesting to see their next couple of performances. I thought Wolves on the final day, we'd all be punting in a Saka or punting in a Martinelli. He's now ruled out. I don't know if we're going to be punting in an Arsenal mid for the final day. Let's see what we see in 37, but I'm just worried now that heads will drop and it'll be some mediocre limping over the line performances.
Yeah, it could well be. Yeah, the last home game is going to be interesting because I think the fans are going to want to give them a send-off and show the appreciation for what they've done. I mean, no one was expecting them to run City anywhere near. You know, for them to have got in the top four was a good achievement, let alone push them to the final few games. So it has been an incredible season. Whatever, and I like the Trossard punt, like I said, but it's the opposite. The Forest and Arsenal game is really interesting this week because this is such a key game for Forest. They've got everything to play for. The fans are going to be going absolutely nuts. Final home game of the season against Arsenal, whose heads might be down. I can see Forest getting something out of this game.
Yeah, I can. I mean, Forest, their home record's really good. Really good. They're flying at the moment. They're scoring goals as well. My concern with Forest has been, for a while, until the last month, has been like, are they going to score enough goals to stay up? Well, now they're scoring goals. Yeah. And that Arsenal backline's looked ropey, as we saw against Brighton. So I definitely am backing Forest to score in that game.
Yep. So am I. What if Mark's going? I imagine he probably is. Got the atmosphere.
Yeah, because he's got a soft spot for Arsenal as well, hasn't he? Obviously, he's very pro Forest in this fixture, but I should think that's a game he would have looked at the start of the season and gone, when Arsenal come to town, I want to watch that.
Yeah, I'm almost certain he will be going. Let's take a look at some player data. Not really. I mean, there's not going to be many of us making goalkeeper transfers this week. Ederson owners can relax a little bit now. Potentially, although maybe he misses one of the next couple. We have seen Ortega kind of come in. I think if you're buying a keeper, for me, it's between the Brighton and the United one. I still think Steele and De Gea would be the ones that I'd go for. I've highlighted Kepa here as well because I think there is a decision to make. If you've got Kepa and Everson, for example, do you risk Kepa or do you use a transfer to take him out for someone else?
Oh, I mean, looking at how Mendy played, I think Kepa comes back in, but that's just a punt. I wonder if Lampard will be asked about it on Friday, see if you get anything from the press conference. It's also worth noting that there's a very good chance, no, in fact, almost certainly, Chelsea are buying a goalkeeper this summer. And Mendy is far easier to sell than Kepa, right? Because of the prices, because of the wage structure there. I think there's a chance Kepa stays on under Poch. And it's Mendy that's offloaded. And if that's the case, I'd expect Kepa to get more game time. So it's a really interesting one. Brentford, by the way, have just signed a new keeper from Germany who's going to be first choice. So they're preparing for Raya to go. Raya will be at Chelsea or Spurs next summer, in my opinion. I think both want him, but I'd love him at Chelsea. And I think Mendy drops out again, but probably if you've got a free transfer and you've not got other fires, selling Kepa to a Steele or a De Gea, if you can accommodate that third Brighton spot or third United spot, isn't a bad move.
I'd do it. If I had Kepa and Everson and I had one of those two keepers, I'd do it. If I had someone else, like an Ederson or, I don't know, Raya, who've Brentford got? They've got Spurs, and I'd probably keep him for that. But yeah, if I had to rely, I wouldn't be relying on Everson, let's put it that way, to come in. But look at that. I mean, still at the top of the goalkeeper, points per 90, 5.8, just so high. He's
he had a penalty. Did his penalty save come in the last 6 game weeks? Probably just, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
But still, the beauty of going Steele as well is you get, because his pass completion is really good, he gets loads of touches. His bonus points is always quite useful. That's why Ederson managed to get bonus points off, what was it, a couple of saves the other night. But yeah, you have Steele, you can even get a penalty save. You have De Gea, like me, you're never ever going to get a penalty save with De Gea. He's the worst goalkeeper in world football for penalties, which is really annoying because I think he faced a penalty the other day and I was like, no point even watching this. Like, he's not going to save it.
I know.
The XG on a penalty is 0.78. The XG for a penalty when you face David De Gea is 0.99. I promise you.
Yeah, unless they hit it wide or over the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Solly March
Like
did.
Solly March,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he went the wrong way for all of those Brighton 7 pens, pretty much.
I was so confident
Six
on that
pens, whatever
penalty
it was.
shootout. I really thought, against De Gea, I thought he's not gonna
Yeah.
save any of these. Just don't hit it over the bar. Just get him in, we'll be fine. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't to be. Let's look at defence. Then let's try and find some players here. I've been doing all season. I'm trying to find someone, but it's pretty slim pickings here. I mean, Trent is continuing to dominate again. It was a massive haul from him at the weekend, and I think we knew it was coming, didn't we?
We really did. Like I've been saying, he'll score. I've been saying he'll score from open play because of his new position. He keeps finding himself on the edge of the box in shooting positions, which we've never seen from Trent before. But in this central midfield role, we see it. But yeah, sod's law, great, he scored, but obviously from a free kick. Well, Salah tapped it to the side, but it felt like a direct free kick.
Yeah, little Salah tap. 5 assists and a goal in his last 7 starts. XG on put it per 90 of 0.43. That's right up at like 0.6 since his switch into this midfield role.
Nice.
It's just, he's just doing everything that we want. And if you haven't got him, I think you still have to really be strongly thinking about him because you're not going to want to go into that Southampton game without him. So, yeah, try and find a way, if you haven't already, to bring him in. Estepinian's in 8th. I mean, the signs weren't there for the haul that he got. His underlying stats were kind of around the 0.2 mark alongside, lots of players like Romero and Botman and Yerry Mina. I just did not see a haul like that. I thought we could get an assist and maybe get a 9-10, but to get a 17 pointer was remarkable.
I've been on him for ages, and I feel like 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, we were all talking about Estupiñán is due a haul, and he kept coming really close to assists and goals. But yeah, you're right. From this data, from the last 6 game weeks in the last month, yeah, he's not been due, and it came out of nowhere. And if I was wildcarding like you only 4 or 5 weeks ago, someone like Dunk, who we know with the fixture congestion Brighton have, was the far safer bet for X minutes. I probably would have gone Dunk, and I think a lot of managers would have, because we didn't see a huge upside with Estupiñán at the time, and we thought there'll be rotation. Turns out, whilst he's rotated his midfield quite a bit, De Zerbi, certainly his wide men have all sort of missed a game. Estupiñán, bit of a fitness monster. Good to know for next season, when they're playing in Europe, this guy can play 3 times a week.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I did it because I watched that game we had in the Cup, and the one before United. Who was it? It was against lower league team. Can't remember who it was. But he was awful. He was absolutely awful. He was subbed at half time.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And I wildcarded after that, and I just thought, we've got so many games, and he's not playing that well anyway. I can just see him missing out one of these, but it's just that lack of options that we have at left back.
Was it Grimsby?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Grimsby. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I went for Dunk. As I've already talked about, it was a disaster. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a haul like he's had to come. I don't think there's going to be another one between now and the end of the season. So I'm not looking at these stats and not looking at him and thinking, oh my god, I need to get him in. He's still a decent option. He's an obvious hold, and he's, if you've got nothing else to do, he's a good buy. But I wouldn't be moving heaven and earth for him. I think it's a bit of a freak score, that one. We got Stones down in 27th. He's probably the City defender I'd buy if I was going to get one.
I don't know if he plays both, mate. That's the problem. I feel like Diaz is the only one I could bet on playing both those games.
Yeah,
feel like I can safely say it's close to a guarantee. But yeah, maybe Stones. And again, Stones, yeah, sure, he's not playing like Trent where he's getting loads of shooting positions, but in open play at times we're seeing crosses come in and Stones in the box trying to get his head on stuff. 2
goals in 4 starts for him over the last 6. An extra, I'll put it for 90 of 0.15. That is not high, don't get me wrong. But you've got to go right down to 94th to find Ruben Diaz. 0.02. So there's always a chance, De Bruyne swings in a corner and he heads it in. It's the same with centre-backs in general. But I just think that a little bit of extra goal threat from Stones and that slightly more advanced position I think I would be risking it over Diaz just for the final two.
I don't understand Diaz, mate, because from corners, defensively, he gets his head on everything. Like he's so good at defending crosses, but attacking crosses. I'm just looking now. Have we had a goal? So this season, we've not had a goal or an assist from Diaz in nearly 2,000 minutes. Okay, last season we had 2, and the season before that 1. So he's had 3 league goals at Man City. But for a defender as good as he is in the air, with the delivery as good as what we see at set pieces from Man City, De Bruyne, how's he only got 3 goals in his Premier League career?
Yeah, I guess the long corners, they target Haaland, don't they? They're not looking for Diaz. So he's the one.
But Stones gets them.
Yeah.
I guess Stones hasn't got many either.
Well, Stones has been scoring his from just outside the edge of the box. He's been hitting them when they kind of fall to him there. I don't think either of them was a header. I think it was a kind of a mid-range strike. So yeah, I don't know. There's different tactics. They play it short. They play it to the edge of the box. They play it.
Yeah, you see a lot of short corners too, don't you?
So many different varieties. Diaz just isn't the target. I think his most lucky one is if they target Haaland, he misses it and it just falls over his head and he taps it in. Shaw and Wan-Bissaka I've highlighted. Shaw's in 29th. Not great attacking stats, but he's been playing at centre back for a few of those. Wan-Bissaka's in 56th. He's kind of come out of nowhere to get that place back.
Yeah. And we're seeing like Dalot still can get minutes at left back, and now Varane's fit. Shaw is playing left back, so it looks like Wan-Bissaka and Dalot will compete. But you'd probably back Wan-Bissaka to get 2, if not 3 out of 3 Premier League starts now at left back. As it's worth noting, I think last time out was the first time Shaw played left back in a while because Varane came back in, and as soon as he played left back, Luke Shaw, his assist threat went up. He picked up the bonus points. Shaw at left back. I mean, if I just say the XGI against Wolves was 0.27. Before that, it was 0.14, 0.15, 0.01, 0.17. So straight away, his XGI boosted, and he was rewarded with 3 bonus points in that game.
Well, the only defender beating him for baseline bonus over the last 6 is Trippier.
Yeah,
18,
and that's
18.38.
4 of those games at centre back. So yeah. If he's played them all at left back, he's probably number 1 there. You
know, United have got 2 home games where they're really, really hard to score against. He's got great baseline bonus, and he's got some extra attacking threat. If you're looking for a defender and you haven't got him, he's the obvious choice for me to bring in.
Oh, maybe I go Shaw and forget about Bruno. I can't have them all. Can't have them both. I really want both.
Yeah, I mean, I've got De Gea, so I can at least cover those clean sheets with him. If I didn't have any United defender, I think I'd be lining towards Shaw.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at midfield. And here we go. We're going to go straight into our chat about Anthony. Now, Slippers has been, he's been trying to get the Anthony train going.
Seen that.
Choo. I saw it, earlier today. Talking him up. His XGI non-penalty per 90 over the last 6 game weeks is 0.8. Now, that is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruno's is high, 0.73. Don't get me wrong. I mean, what I like to do is compare this to kind of Haaland. So Haaland's at 0.93. So
there's not much in it.
There's not much in it. Is Anthony, is he the one? Is he the man that can transform people's seasons?
I like expected data a lot, but it can sometimes it can easily reveal bad finishers. And I'm sure Anthony, for Man United to pay the 90 million they paid him, for Ten Hag to go, that's my man. Ten Hag knows him very well, worked with him for so long. He must be a very good finisher. But from what we've seen so far at United, he misses a huge amount of chances. He doesn't miss loads of big chances, but he misses the sorts of chances from the edge of the box where you go, you have to at least hit the target there, and he drags it wide. Those sorts of chances where you expect to score one in perhaps 3 or 4 shots, well, he will miss the target in all 4 of them. He drags a lot. He just drags. He's that typical kind of left-footed player where he's got a really good left foot and he relies on that. And he can score a worldie out of nowhere. We have also seen that. But at the moment, where he's at with his finishing in this team is missing too many big chances. And I don't feel like he's confident enough. I don't feel like there's a confidence in me as an FPL manager to go, yeah, he's actually going to put a couple of them away.
Yeah. Well, he's top for shots per 90, 4.79. That's higher than Rashford, for example, 4.56. He's in the top 10 for shots in the box, for chances created, for XG non-penalty per shot, which is like the quality of chances that he's getting, 0.12. He's in the top 10 for XG on penalty per 90, we said 0.8. Tell you what he's not in the top 10 for. Points. Yeah. And that is the issue with him. 5.88 points per 90. It's not terrible. It's higher than Grealish, for example, 4.09, who everyone's got. So if you've got Grealish and you fancy a bit of a sideways punt to someone like Anthony with better stats.
And you can't reach Bruno in one move.
Exactly.
That's me and you. We can't reach Bruno in one move from Grealish.
Exactly.
Have you looked at him? Have you looked at Anthony? Because I have made picks before based on these sorts of numbers. Not hitting the target, not getting the points, but the XG's there. The fixtures are there. He's got Bruno providing for him, and the amount of chances Bruno put on a plate for Anthony in the weekend just gone. Should we be taking him seriously? As do you think you will consider him, or are you ruling him out?
I can't. I just can't do it. I just don't like him.
I know.
I don't like him as a player that much. He costs so much money, and I just think a lot of the things he tries, he's so predictable to play against. His finishing is really, really poor. I think he's going to have to really step up next season because I just don't think he's been good enough.
He's got the stupid trick that he does. He feels like he's always sort of scrunching his face up and unhappy on the pitch. Like, he's not a likable player at the moment yet, but maybe that's me going off his image of all the tricks and all the gear, you know.
Well, his main trick, apart from the fidget spinner, is the cut inside on his left foot and bend it in. You know,
Arjen Robben.
Like Arjen Robben used to do every match, and no one could stop it. But he doesn't hit the target, so it's not even that effective. And it's it's almost like players are happy to show him onto that because he gets a couple in and it looks great, fantastic. But he tries it all the time and it doesn't pay off as much. I don't mind it. Like I think I want Fernandes. I think I really do think Fernandes is the one that can rival Haaland for the captaincy. This week, and it's especially with that Fulham at home game in 38. I just don't want to be without him. And I've done a complete 180 on last week when I said, I'm probably be going into this game without him. But
Me too.
Look at these numbers. 0.73 XG on penalty per 90. The amount of chances he's creating. How high his baseline bonus is as well. He doesn't need much to be right up there with the bonus as well.
He hasn't had any pens of late either. Like look at Salah's had 2 pens in his last 6 games.
Is he on him, do you think, over Rashford?
I think he is. I think he's on him. I think he is. Certainly on the next one anyway. But yeah, I'm with you. I went into it going, I probably aren't going to be able to stretch to Bruno to the end of the season. And then I was watching the highlights of the game just gone on Gameweek 36, and I saw the date. I've seen the data. I've seen all those chances created. We've been getting lucky without him getting away with 6-pointers. He is very much looking like he's going to perform a sort of 15-point plus return.
I think he's got one coming between now and the end, and I want to be on that rather than trying to cover it with players like
even for a 4-point hit though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. That's my current plan. But yeah, I mean, the Grealish to Antony move is easier, and on paper, looking at these stats, it doesn't look like a terrible move. But yeah, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. De Bruyne is an interesting one. I think he's 13th on the list. Has dropped off, but his points per 90, 11.74. Yeah. No one really talking about him. Too much risk there, do you think?
It's just the minute. It's just the minutes. It's just the minutes because honestly, I'd be looking if someone told me De Bruyne was getting 180. We know Bruno's getting 180. We know Salah gets 90 every time he plays. If De Bruyne was getting 180 in the double, you could absolutely guarantee it. He'd be my I'd be taking 4-point hits for De Bruyne over Bruno, and that's despite all those great Bruno numbers. I just think the ceiling is higher with De Bruyne because I've just said Bruno's got a really high ceiling, but I just feel like Man City in those games can go and score 3-4 goals each, and I don't feel like United are going to have 2 games where they score 3-4 goals. I think Bournemouth away is still a tricky fixture for United because of their away form. That might be for me that could be a 1-0 United win. You know?
Yeah, I mean the other City options to consider. Gundogan, he's been fantastic last couple of games. 4 goals for him in 4 starts and an assist as well. We've got Grealish, who hasn't started the last 2. Just 2 assists, though, in his 4 starts. And then you've got to go quite far way down to 32nd for Mahrez, which is surprising, because we know how much he loves to dominate on these stats tables. But 5 assists in 5 starts for him. It's probably Mahrez, isn't it? He's probably the one for me if you're gonna take a punt on one of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're Grealish owners. If you said you could swap for free to Mahrez, would you? Yeah, and he's not starting tonight in the Champions League. He will start in the Premier. He's got a better chance of starting both games than Grealish, in my opinion.
Mm,
And those 4 assists, it's actually it's 2, 3, 4. Sorry, those 5 assists are in the last 4 game weeks. So yeah, they're in the last 6. They're also in the last 4. So he is doing very well.
yeah,
Um,
I think he plays. He gets 2 starts definitely in the
I think
next
so.
3. Mahrez. Yeah, I mean Foden is not on here. I haven't even put him on. I think
Oh, I
Mahrez.
wish he was a thing. I wish he
Yeah,
could be a thing.
he's not in the top 30. I think Mahrez is ahead of him in terms of who I'd pick. And I think he's the least safe one, but potentially explosive. But I'd rather have Mahrez, I think.
Yeah, with you there. Yeah.
Yep. Let's take a look at forwards. Forwards over the last 6. We've got Jota. We both fell into that trap, didn't we? Both bought him.
We did, but we did buy him when he was nailed, if you like. I know he got injured, but when he was first choice, at least. We bought him when Luis Diaz was still sort of working his way
Yep.
back and Darwin was off form. And we knew he'd start. We also sold him when we knew he wasn't safe. And I looked at that Liverpool front 3 against Leicester, and I went into that Leicester game saying, Jota ain't going to start. And I told a few people to sell on a Q&A stream I did, because it was, Luis Diaz, Hakpo and Salah. That front 3 feels like Klopp's preferred. When they're all fit and firing, the other 3 he's going with. And I think Luis Diaz, if you're looking for a single game week punt, maybe in game week 38 away at Southampton, Luis Diaz looked sharp the other night. And I think next season he'll be a really good FPL option, because he'll be lowly. He'll have a very good price point next year because of his injury and because the games he has played, he hasn't set the world alight. But yeah, he's brewing nicely. I can see big points for Luis Diaz next year.
Yep. Jota is top of all players for XG on Put 90 over the last 6. Iheanacho is second, but Vardy is being preferred, which I am surprised with because they don't seem to know how
No,
to
he's
play to
injured.
him.
He's injured, Iheanacho, isn't he?
Is he injured? Oh, that's why.
He wasn't on the bench. He wasn't on the bench
there
the
you go.
night. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I wasn't impressed with Vardy the other night, but I wasn't impressed with any of them. And all the fans, they're booing them after.
I was there, mate, behind the goal.
Were you?
And with all the Leicester season ticket holders, genuinely, there was a couple of fans that left before half time.
I've never seen a team score and then the home team kick off, give the ball away, and the other team have a shot within 3 seconds of their opponents kicking off. I have never seen that before.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
just completely cut open through the middle, like heads dropped. And when they went 2-0 down really quickly from those 2 goals, it could have been 3. Hakpo missed a sitter straight after as well.
Yeah. Their only saving grace is they play West Ham on the final day, and they could be completely all in on Europe.
Yeah.
And if they can get a win there and other results go their way, that might just be enough. But I don't see it. I think they're going to go down.
I feel like they're gone.
Yep.
I feel like they're gone. But yeah, it's a shame because there's always that too good to go down team, isn't there? And on paper look great. And yeah, there are so many players there that will be picked up by Premier League. Like Iheanacho, the top of this list, he'll be bought by a mid-table Premier League team and score goals for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Castagna, Pereira, Madison, Tielemans, Iheanacho, Barnes,
and Ndidi.
These are players that were pushing for the top 4.
Yeah,
a couple of seasons ago. Crazy. Haaland and Wilson are both doing incredibly well on this chart as well. Haaland 0.93, no surprises there. Wilson 0.89. We're going to talk a bit about captaincy in a bit. It is difficult to make a case against Haaland when he's got 6 goals and 2 assists, and his stats are this good over his last 6. But we will see if there's any other options. I've highlighted Martial. He's in 8th. XG on 90 of 0.68. I'm already seeing people considering him on Twitter. I'm seeing people using the trap gifs, for him. 1 goal, 1 assist in 3 starts. Is he a trap?
Yeah, he's proper cheap. I don't remember him being this cheap, right? It's 6.3 million. The good thing at the moment for Man United is they've only got 3 fixtures, and even Martial, sick note Martial, the spread of the fixtures makes you think he could start all 3 because there's only 3 games left. It's Saturday, Thursday, Sunday. So it's 3 games in 8 days, not the 7 we sometimes see or the 6 we sometimes see. I don't know. Ten Hag doesn't like to rotate unless he has to. He likes to play the same 11 every time.
Mm.
He has said Martial can't play 3 times in that 7-day window. I wonder if he can do it in the 8-day window. And maybe it's a few 60, 70-minute performances. He wants to start Martial. Clearly, he's in his first choice 11 at the moment. I don't know. I don't know if I could get there. I mean,
I've done it already.
I can get there because he's 6.3 million,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could justify it when there's players like Bruno and then even Anthony putting up those numbers. I'd prefer them.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because I mean there are going to still be some people out there who have Tony, for example, because I know we sold a lot of us sold him quite a few weeks ago, but he's been doing all right. He's still been kind of trickling over with the points. He's now out for 8 months, so if you've got that Tony money and you have to get a forward under 7 million, your two options are the ones highlighted here. It's Martial or Alvarez. I mean potentially Callum Wilson, but it's a home game, or Isak against Leicester, but you probably want to target that double.
Yeah,
Alvarez.
Oh, I think you're looking at potentially a sort of he could get 60 minutes over the double game week. Could only get 60. I mean, sure, there's a chance he gets 120, but he could get 60.
I think Alvarez misses the Chelsea game, but plays the Brighton and Brentford game. That would be my prediction, based on little.
Yeah, it's stabbing in the dark, isn't it? We both are.
Well, I think they go full strength against Chelsea, and then they rotate for the next two.
Yeah. It's just that momentum thing with Pep. Knowing the FA Cup final and the Champions League are both in June. The Champions League's like the 10th. Like he might want minutes in De Bruyne's legs. He might want minutes in even Grealish's legs. I don't know.
It's a punt. I mean, we're at punt level, aren't we, of the season? I think Martial and Alvarez are both punts, but I do think they've both got potential to do all right. Would I go for one of them? No. But I'm trying to think of players a bit different. That people might be able to get easier without having to take huge hits for. And I think out of Martial and Alvarez, I think I would go for Alvarez though.
Would you? I think I'd go Martial just.
Interesting.
But yeah. Don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's Wilson. You've mentioned Tony sellers. There's also Watkins potential sellers. Like there's still a lot of managers with Watkins that are frustrated by the 1 and 2 pointers, and I wonder if we'll see a lot of Watkins Tony owners. Looking at Martial or Alvarez, but maybe if Callum Wilson starts and scores goals again on Thursday night, and that is a big if, then maybe with that Leicester fixture in mind, that let's say Callum Wilson gets 60 minutes and looks good again, he could start again against Leicester. He could play 3 games in a week, but that's 60 and 70-minute games. It's a great team to be playing against. Leicester, the most open defence at the moment.
Yeah. The Watkins is interesting because I think the Brighton game at home on the last day of the season, I think he's there's points in it for Watkins in that one. We'll have just played a very, very congested schedule with a tired group of players. I'm hoping by then we've got enough points to have kind of cemented some kind of Europe in it. And we struggle against Villa. They beat us. They beat us earlier in the season when we were looking quite good. And they're really strong at home and they've got good data. So, I think a lot of people selling Watkins might regret it on that front. I'm keeping him, I think, and playing him.
I mean, there's that feel-good factor of game week 38, last home game, bit of a celebration. The kids come on the pitch at the end, and there's a real good feel-good factor at the moment about this Villa team, isn't it? Emery's come in, done really well. The sun will be shining. It will be celebrate a really good run-in, a really good end to the season.
Yep, absolutely. Not an easy move, I think, from Watkins. Although this game, I think it's quite an easy bench given Liverpool's defensive stats. Let's take a look at some fixtures. We've got our predictions in here. I put a garden centre game in the Spurs Brentford game. I think it could potentially be quite a good game, but Brentford haven't got Tony. Spurs are just done, aren't they? There's not really much to play for now for them, and it's just a bit of a nothingy game, isn't it? So
Kane will still get 7 points though, because he always does.
Of course he will. Yeah, we've gone for different scores as well. I've gone for 2-1 Brentford. You've gone for 2-1 Spurs. Not much in it though, is it? Not
much in it. I mean, maybe it's a 1-1 draw and we're both wrong, but yeah, I think I don't trust either defence to keep a clean sheet in this one.
Yep. Bournemouth United. I've gone for 2-0 United. You've gone for a 1-0.
It's just that away form. Bournemouth don't have much to play for, anything to play for, but it's still a big fixture when United come to town. It's a lot of teams, cup finals historically. It's a big game. Everyone wants to beat United. And they struggle on the road. I think this game is the one thing that makes me think maybe I go Shaw over Bruno. If I can only go one, it's this fixture. Because I think Chelsea at home is a really good fixture for Bruno and for United attack. But I worry for goals in this one for United.
Yeah. So you're thinking just a narrow, get the job done, get out. Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd love to show people how you send me these predictions, because it's literally a screenshot of
child
with the highlighter pen all over it. It's great. Palace Fulham. I mean, you've gone big here. I've gone for a 1-1. You've gone for a 3-3.
Yeah, these are the two teams that are scoring, like, surprising us with the amount of goals they're scoring. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, it was only a couple of weeks ago, Fulham scored 5 against Leicester. A couple of weeks ago, Palace West Ham at Selhurst Park was 4-3.
Yeah, true.
These aren't teams usually that score many, but they're mid-table, nothing to play for, but they are playing with expression. Mitro will be back in starting. Eze is flying. I think we could get goals in this London derby.
I promised Luke that I would mention his Eze call, because he did say last week, he said he'd be right at the top of his list if he was looking for someone a bit different for the last few weeks.
Fair
He
punt.
came in with a 15-pointer. So yeah, I think again, I second that, and he's definitely someone that I'm looking at for the final game week. Liverpool Villa, I've gone for a narrow Liverpool win, 2-1. You've gone for a much more comprehensive 3-0 battering.
When you stream with someone for so long, you know a lot about their sort of choices in football. And with you, obviously I know a lot about what you think of certain teams and players, as you do me. One thing I sort of always know is Az has a soft spot, guys, for Aston Villa. I've never told him this before. Now, he might not support them, but he always rates them. I remember last season he did a BlackBox episode. I think Gerrard had just got the job, and he did like a 20-minute section on why you should buy Villa players. And off the back of it, I invested in a Villa player. It was really compelling sell.
Dean did well early doors for Gerrard.
I think it was justified your sell there.
Did well.
But I have noticed this as the weeks go on, and then your prediction in this one, like Liverpool heavy favourites, and you've gone for a tight 2-1.
Wow,
guys, let me know in the chat. Am I right here? Is this a common theme? Are they secretly Az's second team? I think they might be.
It was weird because when Gerrard took over, I thought it was going to be really good. I was like, it's great to see Gerrard in the Premier League, but he completely lost me. When he started blaming players and playing really defensively and his general kind of demeanour. But yeah, there was a spell last season when they had, Dean was actually playing well. They had Coutinho, Ings was there, wasn't he? And looking quite good with Watkins. And it was quite an exciting squad. And then Emery's come in and kind of taken it to the next level. Yeah, maybe do I like Villa? I kind of feel quite neutral to them.
I'm going to go back and see your predictions for the last 36 game weeks. And I bet you've got Villa. I bet if you added up all your scores, Villa would be in the Champions League.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Coutinho is one of my all-time favourite FPL players. He's done this so well for me whenever I've had him. So maybe there's a bit of that bias creeping in. Other side of the Midlands, or the West Midlands, Wolves, Everton. I've gone for an Everton win here. I think a lot's riding on whether Calvert-Lewin's fit. I think if he is, I think they win this game. You've gone for a 1-1.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening in this football match. Everton need the points, but I don't like backing against Wolves at home either. So yeah, you could be right there. If I was going to go 1-0 either team, I would go Everton.
Forest Arsenal, we've gone controversial on this one. You've gone for a 1-1. I've gone for a Forest win.
That's a big call, mate. Forest win. I don't think they're absolutely guaranteed to be safe, but if they win that, they'll feel like they're safe.
I honestly think this could be one of the worst games for Arsenal to be going into after that loss against us, because they are going to be pressed all over the pitch. The fans are going to be going absolutely crazy, and it just obviously Arsenal are capable of scoring lots of goals. If Arsenal get 3 goals, then Forest aren't going to get 4, but I can see Forest getting a couple.
It's a fair point, mate. You're going for a big Forest win in Game Week 37, and I'm going for a big Leeds win in Game Week 37. So this is where we're sat with the relegation scrap. Like, you're backing a great home team against an amazing team in Arsenal, and I'm going for Big Sam to go to West Ham and get a win. Like,
yeah, you've gone for a 2-1. I've gone 2-1 the other way. West Ham versus Leeds. I just wasn't impressed with Leeds at all against City. I know they got the goal towards the end. They defended fine, but City could have won that game 7-0.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair point. They really could have.
Yeah. Brighton Southampton, I've gone for a 2-0. You've gone for a 3. Should be fairly routine. It's our final home game of the season as well. We don't have many players that can come in. I thought Sanchez might get maybe a final home game, but he's pissed off De Zerbi, so there's no chance he's coming in. We know what we're going to
Only
get.
2-0 as. You don't see that as a bit of a. I mean, if that was Aston Villa playing Southampton at home, you'd have 3 or 4-0.
Probably right. I've been exposed. It's purely just fixture congestion. I just think
Fair.
we've put in such a big shift against Arsenal, and we're going into another big game. We've got a big game against City in midweek, and this Southampton game kind of, in the middle of it. I just think
some rotation or not. McAllister, Matoma owners, should we be worried we don't get 2 starts?
We haven't got anyone to rotate.
I agree.
I do wonder. We could just if we go 2-0 up against Southampton, I think it could just be a see it out and not go too mad and push for too many more goals. But
yeah,
hopefully I'm wrong. It'd be nice to see a big score at the Amex in our kind of our best game left between now and the end. City Chelsea both went the same. Both went 3-0 City.
Yeah, it's gonna be
no chance. Chelsea have got no chance this game. You can soundbite me on that. No chance.
Yeah, me too. And I say that with a very heavy heart.
I think if City get through the Champions League final, they're going to be full of confidence. If they get knocked out of the Champions League tonight, they're going to take it out on Chelsea. There's no good result.
Chelsea getting punished.
They are getting punished regardless. Yep. Same with Leicester, Leicester. I can't see anything other than a big Newcastle win here. I've gone for 3. You've gone for 2.
Their heads are so low, Leicester. There is no feeling in that club just from being in the ground on Monday. Like, I feel like the players have given up now. Like, as soon as they conceded that second goal against Liverpool, I've never seen anything like it. It was just down tools. Like, yeah,
they're done. And then you've got Smith saying, what was he saying in his press conference? It would be an amazing feat if this group of players stayed up. I mean, what a thing to say as you're heading into your final few games of the season. Like, none of you are... Bearing in mind, they're all good enough. They're all like...
Load of them won the league.
Won the league.
They won the FA Cup 2 years ago.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I cannot stand that man as a manager. Awful. Brighton City, I've gone for a 2-2 here. Like I said earlier, I think City will have wrapped the league up and we can give them a game. You've gone for a City 2-1. I think
you're right. Brighton definitely score though, as you said that earlier in the show. Like, I can't see a City clean sheet there. Like, Brighton always look like they're going to score, but yeah, I'll definitely back them to score at the Amex there.
And then the final game, United Chelsea. I've gone for a 2-1, and you've gone for a 2-0. Both United win.
Yeah. Should be similar. And this goes back to my Bruno or Shaw thing. It's like, we're looking at our predictions here. We're not going for Man United to score huge amounts. So how many points is Bruno going to get? And Luke Shaw, I mean, I've gone for 2 United clean sheets.
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to our teams in a sec, but I think Shaw looks a good bet. So just looking at the goals that we predicted, I mean, I've gone for 4 Brighton goals. You've gone for 4 as well. Yep. City, I've gone for 5. You've gone for 5 as well. And United, I've gone for 4, and you've gone for 3. So
that's why De Bruyne, if guaranteed 180 minutes, De Bruyne would be over Bruno this week, but it's just the minutes risk.
Yep. Captains, this is the captain matrix. I think the obvious choice this week is Haaland. He's got Chelsea and Brighton away. But there is a case to make for some other players. I mean, Fernandes, we've talked about. I think it's 2 good games for him. Rashford is fit as well. I imagine Rashford plays both games. Yeah, and I think if he hadn't had that little injury, I think he would be, in more people's consideration than he is. De Bruyne or Gundogan, potentially going against the Haaland mix. Or, you go for a Brighton player and hope they just hit a massive, massive score against Southampton at home, like you said. So Matoma and McAllister or someone like that. So there is options.
I feel like you might be warming to an idea of a Bruno captaincy.
Yeah, I think so.
Just from your language on the show tonight, I'm like, are you going to back against Haaland in the double game week when there's still a lot with triple captainships to probably play? I haven't looked at the numbers, but there'll be a load of triple captainers on Haaland. So if you do care about things like EO, then yeah, you'll be a brave man backing against him.
I'm running out of time, Gianni. I'm running out of time.
Fair point.
You said it really well on a team section video a few weeks ago. Who cares if you finish 200k, 300k, 400k? I'd rather push for the top 100 and miss than just see the season out at 180k. I'm dropping down to 200k with the auto subs. I've got 2 weeks left. I need to do something, and I think that City-Brighton game, we might see quite a bit of rotation if City have already won the league. So
Yeah.
I like the look of those United fixtures. And yeah, I think at the moment I'm 60-40 on Fernandes.
Nice, mate. I don't mind that call at all. I was asked today if you were to go for a differential move this week, what would it be? And they were asking about transfers, and I couldn't give you a differential transfer that I was that close to buying. But my answer was my differential move this week would be Captain Bruno because loads of us are going to own him. He'll get more minutes than Haaland. Yeah, I don't hate it. It's not for me. And my rogue move, I guess, because I'm with you. Like, doesn't matter if you finish at 200 or 300k. Really doesn't.
The only thing
push for that 100k.
The only
I went Wilson this week for that reason.
The only thing that does matter is Mark.
That matters a lot. But Mark's chasing too. Would it surprise you if Mark captained Bruno this week?
I don't know. I can't think too much about what Mark is doing. I can't let him get in my head. As soon as he gets in your head, that's it. It's over. He did it to Granville years ago. I need to just play, the right way. And do I think there's a huge disparity between Haaland and Fernandes? Probably not. So just like you, my instinct is to go for the lesser owned and lesser captained one. I imagine Mark will go Haaland, and that could be a big decider in what happens between us. But I hate that he's just there, He's just there. 20 points, not much in it at all. Looking at some captain data. Oh, what's happened to my chart? That's gone a bit weird. Let me just fix that. So this is the teams that teams are playing. So over the last 6, Southampton have the worst defence, which bodes well for Brighton, for McAllister and Matoma as well. Bournemouth are the worst over the season and second worst out of the teams that we're looking at over the last 6. That bodes well for Rashford and Fernandes. Chelsea, third worst out of these teams, 1.5. XG non-penalty conceded penalty over the last 6, 1.29. So again, that bodes well for Haaland and the like as well. And no surprise to see City, performing really well kind of defensively. So Brighton go from the best fixture essentially to the worst, which is why I think we're being put off captaining some of their assets. Looking at the players, you got Haaland at the top over the last 6, like we talked about, 0.93. Fernandes not far off, 0.73, with Salah 0.72. McAllister is, even though he's playing in this deeper role, his XGI non-penalty penalty is still higher than the other Brighton players. Matoma 0.42, Estepinian's on there 0.31 as well. Rashford 0.52. So if you're looking at Fernandes versus Rashford, Fernandes' stats are a lot better, but they are assists because this is XGI, so to goal involvement, and no one can bloody finish in that club.
He keeps passing it to Anthony.
I know, exactly. So you can have all the chances created in the world, but if you haven't got anyone there to finish, it's not going to go well for you. So it is close between Rashford and Fernandes, but I think just given the injury to Rashford, even though it's only been a little one, I think it's pushing me towards Rashford, towards Fernandes as the pick.
Yeah, there's always that fear with it when you've been out. Have you come back too soon? Do you pick up a knock and it's a reoccurrence of the same injury and you miss game 2? And also, I'm pretty confident in saying the next penalty United get will fall to Bruno. So again, you've just got that penalty appeal, Bruno over Rashford. Yeah.
If you notice this though, De Bruyne's 18 assists is the most he's got in the last kind of 5 years. His best, it equals his. He got 23 in 2019-20. Sorry, it's his.
That might have been a record.
Yeah, it's his best in 3 years. I mean, that is crazy high as well. But he's on course to potentially get close to that. He got 21 assists in 2016-17. Can he get 3 assists in the next couple?
He's got a history with Gameweek 37. We know from last season.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah, it was that massive. Did he get 4 goals versus Wolves?
Yeah, don't remind me. That's
killed loads of huge red arrows for non-owners in that one.
Add a coin to the bitch jar, because that's where it all went wrong for me that week. It's all been downhill since.
I remember had a stonking red. I think I was something like 15k and I went to 30 or 45k. And then I managed to finish at 16k. So I went almost back to where I started on the last game week. But yeah, it was a terrible week that.
That was the most painful week I've ever had.
Loads triple captain De Bruyne for 4 goals, didn't they? It was
This week's been painful, but at least Brighton beat Arsenal away. So at least that was a bit of a help. Let's take a look at our teams. Let's look at mine first. This is how I'm set up. I feel a bit like I'm just all over the place at the moment. I've got De Gea in goal, Trent, Trippier, Dunk, Salah, Rashford, McAllister, Matoma, Grealish, Haaland and Isak. I got Watkins and Porro on the bench. Watkins and Porro are my kind of game week 38 wildcard picks that are going to come in, because I think lots of people have given up with Watkins, and no one owns Porro, rightly so, because he's really frustrating. But I'm hopeful against Leeds, he can do it. I don't want to sell Salah, and I want Fernandes, so my only way of doing it is to get rid of Grealish. So I think I'm going to do Grealish to Fernandes, and then it'll be Moreno going down. And I've got just enough money in the bank to get a 3.8 defender. So basically kill off that defender spot, get Fernandes in for a -4, and potentially captain him.
Oh, I mean, that makes sense, mate. And that's probably the move I should do as well. Do you not worry about selling Grealish on a double game week?
Not really.
You don't think he'll start 2 though, do you?
I don't know. I just don't know. This is the thing that gets me. I don't know how many he's going to start. And even when he does play, he hasn't been consistently hitting big hauls. There's options around in case he's not playing well to bring Foden on, and players. I just think it's a good time to sell him.
I don't mind that move at all, mate. Like I don't know if I'm going to make it. Have you considered Salah to Bruno and back again?
I have. Yeah, I have considered it. If I do this, I can do McAllister to Eze for 38.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'm not going so hard on Brighton in the game, which I think is going to be quite tricky for us. So there's a bit more of a route, whereas locking in those 2 transfers means I'm playing McAllister and Matoma and Watkins, and I don't know, I've still got Grealish as well, who I don't really want to play in 38. Yeah. I just think this way it's a bit cleaner.
Yeah, I don't. And the fact you're considering 60% likely to consider to go Bruno captain, it's a smart move for you. If you're gonna go 4-point hit and sell a double game week in Grealish to go Bruno, it's fine if you're captaining him. It might not be fine if you're not, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean the other alternatives, I just take the hit in 38. I do Salah to Fernandes this week, do Salah to Fernandes back, and then take the -4 on Grealish out to someone else. That's another option potentially. But I don't mind having Salah for this week, really, against Villa.
It's a good. As well. It's still a good enough fixture. Liverpool are smashing it at the moment. They're playing so well.
Yeah, we'll see. Your team, you've got De Gea in goal. Well, you've basically got my team. You've got my team,
same team
with Estepinian instead of Dunk, and Wilson. Instead of Isak.
And you've got the better bench. I've got dead spots and injured players. I don't think I'm going to sell Grealish. I'm going to see what I see. Let's see how he plays tonight. He has missed the last, I think, 2 of the last 3 Premier League games because of him needing a rest. I think there's a chance he starts both. I think it's still a very good chance he starts both. And I don't own Luke Shaw, and I do have Chilwell there. So I could go Chilwell out, Luke Shaw in. If I do that, though, I am benching Trippier, which I'm not like...
Trippier's interesting, wasn't he? Because he was someone that I was looking to potentially sell. When Rashford was a doubt, I was thinking I could do Rashford to Fernandes and then Trippier down to Shaw, for example. I mean, I'm seeing people benching him. It's away at Chelsea next week. It's not an awful fixture by any means, but no double this week. And he hasn't been getting any points at all. But it's Leicester at home.
Yeah, so knowing I'd be benching Trippier... which I kind of semi-forgot. And I'm not going to sell Grealish to Bruno. My other option is, in that case, I could waste those 2 transfers and go Salah to Bruno this week. I then start Trippier. Gives me an extra double game weeker. And then I reverse that move. And I feel still fairly well set for 38. And if I want to take a punt on a 4-point hit next week, I still can. So I'm between those 2 ideas. I think Grealish will probably be staying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless if we heard Rashford was out, that'd be amazing. But we've seen him training. He's going to start game 1, and should be fine for game 2.
That Rashford being out last week really cost me as well, because with him out and with March out as well, it just meant that Wilson move, I just couldn't justify it for Watkins. But bitch jar, put another coin in. There you go. I will stop. Let me have this. Black Box Leagues. Had a really good week for Ali, 75 points.
He's in the chat, Ali. I saw him earlier.
Ali, my man, he is doing amazingly well. He's top of not just the Black Box League, but also the overall rankings, 2618.
Captain Wilson.
Talking about late surges, Gianni, you might have noticed. FPL BlackBox is now in the top 5 leagues.
Oh, come along. Nice, mate. Congrats.
So thank you to not just the people that have joined the league, but the people who have left other content creators leagues to make sure that we're top. So
have you been having a word with a few? Have you got into Ali's DMs?
We've been mentioning it. Ali is, I think, just in BlackBox, which is a big.
He's in, Ali's in my Chasing Green Arrows and been on Chasing Green Arrows. He's a fan of the show. He's in our league too there, so I'm happy about that.
A shout out to Joanne Hells Owen, though, who is second in the world. She is 16 points behind Ali and could potentially be the first female winner.
Yeah, I discussed that the other night too. I think that'd be awesome. She's got a really good bench this week as well. So those points, I think she's got a couple of auto subs, maybe Shaw to come on. I was looking at her team earlier.
Yeah, going to be tight between those. Be interesting to see what happens. Congratulations as well to everyone else having great seasons. Tom Aperdale, Chris Glover, Vicky Davis, Sam Wyatt, Oystin Walovic, Fred Foley, Stephen Browner, and Balaz Pagoditsky. I mean, those managers I seem to mention every week, so they're very, very consistent with where they are, both in this league and in the overall ranks. So, yeah, having absolutely brilliant seasons. Another shout out to Gameweek 39. We'll be there, won't we, Gianni?
Opposite we will teams. Be, mate. We will be. And look, the Team North are taking it very seriously with their fitness. We've got like a WhatsApp group, and they're sending like. We're getting, we got photos every day, pretty much screen grabs of different people doing different things. Like, and fair play, like they're on it. And there's me thinking I've not played football in 2 weeks. I don't have any games left, and I haven't been on a run or anything like that. I don't enjoy running. I'm not going to go on a run. So yeah, I'm expecting to go down with cramp at 45 minutes again.
I remember last year there was about 10 players down with cramp towards the end. I
went down with cramp 5 times. I went off just before half time with cramp, genuinely, and then I came on and managed like another half an hour limping, and then it went off again with cramp.
Yeah, do check out Gameweek 39 if you haven't already. It's www.gameweek39. That's GW39 northvsouth.co.uk. Raising money for a great charity, Street Child United. It's going to be a really, really fun day. There's a women's match, and then the repeat of last year, North versus South. Get involved in all that. You can come watch. Then we'll obviously be going for a night out afterwards. But yeah, any donations you can spare. I know times are tough at the moment, but anything you can spare for that to support the charity and support us would be great. Also, Merch, FPL Merch, who's playing for the South. He's got these poker chips going. You seen those FPL chips?
Really cool. Really cool.
Yep, and £1 from those if you use the code BlackBox, FPL BlackBox. FPL BlackBox or BlackBox, he did tell me. One of them, try them both. One of them will work. £1 from any sale from those will be going to the Street Child United Gameweek 39 charity as well. So check out Merch to get the chips, because they're really cool to kind of see how your seasons look over the previous years. And yeah, do check out the Gameweek 39 website as well. Right, we've got a guy going absolutely mad in the chat. He's desperate for me to answer his super chat. He has given us a $5, so I will answer it. I'm not going to answer his first question. Is 911 in the world, is that any good? You know full well it's going to be. Free hit in 37, Gianni. Quite an interesting one.
If you've still got your free hit left, then yeah, go 37 over 38, because you could have some fun with the doubles. Mahrez and co, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Anthony.
His team is still Stupinian, Shaw, Porro, KDB, Mahrez, Bruno, Matoma, Haaland, and Kane. A couple in there I wouldn't necessarily have on a free hit. I wouldn't be picking Kane. I wouldn't be picking Porro.
No, you can have loads of fun with a free hit this week.
Yeah, but then I'm not 900 in the world, so probably don't listen to us.
Fair point.
But yeah, if I was free hitting this week, I would go hard on the doublers.
Yeah,
you know,
you get a team of double game, because there's you get 11 of you. Yeah,
Wilson over Kane, and then the rest doublers. I think potentially Eze as well if you're looking for another singler. Like we said, Gianni, that is it. Thank you.
I've loved it, mate. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome.
Hey, can I give a plug to my very own YouTube show?
Nope. Let's just stop the stream. Quick,
This is, wait a sec. Let me do a Dal style comment in the chat. This is my channel. As answer my question. I do slightly different videos to BlackBox, which obviously I love, but trying to find a point of difference rather than stream and do longer ones. I do like 15-minute game week previews. So whilst I can't cover the sort of detail we've covered tonight, I can give you the headlines of the game week out every Thursday or Friday. Check it out.
And you do your nice little shorts as well about interesting player facts from players. I learned about.
I've loved doing my shorts, mate.
The detective. Who was the detective?
Yeah. Andre Zeu
Yeah,
from
that's it.
Wigan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
who would
All
have thought?
sorts. Footballers with different jobs. Yeah. Cisse that played for Newcastle was an ambulance driver in Senegal.
Did you just write in the chat, "This is my channel," then not put a link in?
Correct.
Good. we mentioned your technical ability at the
It's a
start.
soft plug, mate. A soft plug. I don't know. But yeah, mate, interesting video. I did fun one before we leave. I did a hair transplant video, which got like my most views. Players with hair transplants. I've only been DM'd by a hair clinic saying, "Do I want a partner and sponsor?"
Oh, mate,
It's
that
so good.
is
And like, just to put things straight, like, that's really cool. And yeah, let's talk and have a call. You know me, I'll take money off anyone. But just so you know, I'm not going to be like your project to put on my own Instagram channel. Here's me going through treatment. I mean, yeah, I've got a slight receder, but I don't think I need a hair transplant just yet. So maybe that time will come, and I'm happy to promote your brand and encourage others to use it and use a discount code. But yeah, I'm not going to be a guinea pig just yet.
amazing. I thought you were going to plug it there, and then this. Oh, by the way, I took a little backhander to do that plug. But yeah,
No, mate, you know me. I wouldn't do two plugs in 2 minutes.
amazing stuff. Well, I look forward to seeing your hair transplant video. Coming very soon when they offer you a price you can't say no to. Excellent stuff. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone enjoys the City game tonight. Should be a good one. Hope everyone enjoys Gameweek 37. Should be an interesting one. And the Brighton Newcastle game. Everyone's got a lot riding on that. So yeah, hopefully Wilson stays quiet and McAllister smashes in a hat trick. That's all I ask for. But
I tell you what, if Isak goes big as, then you're going to know about it on FPL Twitter because it's the world and their dog have captained Isak. So yeah,
that would be a
I'm
funny
hoping
one.
he stays quiet, but
that'd be a funny one because that'd be really bad for my rank, but really good for my Mark situation because he hasn't got him. So yeah, see how
bittersweet.
Bittersweet, absolutely. Good night, everyone. Luke and I'll be back next week, and we will see you all very soon.